Over the last 18 months, it's been a real joy and delight to see God bring more and more people to be part of our church family. We've experienced tremendous and pretty quick growth, and so we rejoice, we praise God for that. Lots more brothers and sisters as part of our church family. But with exciting growth also comes growth challenges as well. And I think I can think of probably 3 specific ways in which that's really challenged as a church family. So one, just think about space, both space in the halls in terms of chairs, but not just there, and also in our children's spaces as well. Everything's getting pretty cramped. And so what we want to do is we want to rejoice at the number of people who are gathering on a Sunday, but we also think of the thousands of people in our community who need to know about Jesus. And we would love to have more space so that more people can join us. So space is an issue, whether that's for children or for adults. And also mingling space as well. Everything's getting pretty cramped. We love to be sociable, we love our refreshments. But you know as well as I do that as we gather, it's all a little bit harder now, isn't it? Because everything's cramped and finding nice space to hear each other, and it's just that's just a growth challenge. But also, and I've never really known how to really articulate this properly, but you know that idea of just that getting to know people, it's just becoming harder, isn't it? You're in a crowd of people, you think, have I met them before? They knew, I don't know. Just that sense of just connection is becoming harder. And so all those 3 things together, those are growth challenges that are very much upon us. Now there's different ways to meet those challenges, different ways forward. But after an initial meeting before the summer with the Trinity leadership team, I took the decision that the area that we want to explore is the possibility of us running 2 identical morning services in Trinity Church. So double kids work at both, the same repeated. That was the idea, and to see, is that possible? Now, let me say straight away that no decision has been taken about whether we will actually do this. The only decision that was taken was to start the conversation to see, could we do this? And to make this possible, before the summer, I asked a few people to join what's called the 2 services planning team. And I've got 2 people with me. I've got Minette and Stacy, who are part of that 2 services planning team. So I thought I'd just ask them a couple of questions that I think would be helpful for the church family to hear. So maybe if I start with Stacy. So sure. Just tell us, what have you been doing as so far? 2 services planning team.
Yeah, so far it was first just to understand what has led us here, what has led to us having to have this conversation, understand what that looks like. We've been meeting on a monthly basis with a really diverse team of people, getting to people's inputs into what they think's working, what's not working, what we need to look into, tabling a few different ideas, speaking to some of the different church team leaders as well, understanding how that's been working as well. So that's what we've been working on.
Well, okay, so you've been doing quite a lot actually since the summer, which is great. Minette, so that's Stacey's talked about all the internal discussions that have just begun. But you've been involved in something outside church as well. Do you want to say just a little bit about that?
Yeah, so some of us went to Christ Church Enclave in Sheffield, and they moved to 2 morning services earlier in the year, and they have a similar setup in a rental building. So it was very exciting and good for us to go and hear how they have moved to the new services, what challenges they had to overcome, and also what the positive outcomes were on the church family, the congregation, and also what their plans are going forwards.
Fantastic. I'm so grateful for all the different people on the 2 services planning team. That's just a taster of some of what they've been doing. Can I just say, what have you learned so far? So, been meeting every month, a range of conversations. What kind of things have you learned so far just being on the team? Stacy?
So much. So even some of the things you hadn't realized you'd been thinking yourself, like it's getting harder for people to connect after services, it's feeling quite busy, but also we've learned a lot from people's different experiences of Trinity, because it's a really diverse team. Like I've mentioned, how have different people found it lately. I've personally learned a lot about how have people worked in the previous churches that they've been to that have had multiple services or are bigger or smaller. So lots of different things to consider. From team leaders, we've learned where are the different teams stretched, where do we need more volunteers. For example, like us on the setup team, we've seen lots of people joining, which is fabulous, but just understanding what challenges our teams have. So it's been about the church family itself, how the church is running, and all the fabulous things we can do to make it better.
Great, and sometimes you don't even know that until you start the conversation, isn't it? Minette, what about you? Some things you've learned so far?
So for initial discussions and conversations, overall it has been very positive. We have learned that there are some teams who could do with additional space and resources for growth, and we feel that it could potentially be resolved by going to 2 services.
Okay, so these conversations are not stopped, so continue to talk to the team leaders. But we've now reached the point where we want to have a wider conversation with our church family. So we've drafted some questions. We're really keen on getting input from the church family, and that's going to happen over these next couple of weeks. Just as we think ahead and as people fill in the questions, send back the answers, what are you hoping to learn from that wider conversation with the church family? Minette?
So we are hoping to get people's thoughts on the idea of moving to 2 morning services. Also what challenges people think we might face as part of that change, and also what people think the long-term positive impact could be on Trinity Church going forwards.
Okay, Stacy?
I think we're looking for really honest responses. It'll be great to get really honest responses, and we've obviously got some questions that we've put forward, but if there's anything we haven't considered, then guys, please just give us that feedback as well. Nothing's too insignificant, nothing is insignificant, so as much feedback as possible will be fabulous, because we don't have all the ideas. So yeah, looking for honesty and ideas.
Okay, well thank you both. And so we'd love as many people in the church family as possible to fill out their answers to the questions. You can do that either electronically on the Google form, and the link will be sent out through comms, or you can do that paper copy as well. Those will be at the connect point and you can hand them back. We're really keen to hear what the church family are saying, to get the sense of the heart of the church as we look forward. Also, and I think this is true, that different members of the 2 services planning team are just really open to chatting as well. So if there's anything that you want to chat in person about, please just indicate that. You can contact the 2 services planning team, and one of them will make some time so that they can sit down personally with you and listen to either questions you've got or any comments. And just as the senior pastor of the church, as we look forward, I just want to keep on encouraging us to look to God. He is the good God, He's the great God, He's the great provider that we all need, and He will provide everything that God's people need at every point in the growth of the church. So He wants us to make plans, He wants us to pray, He wants us to consult together, but also He wants us to know that the future belongs to Him. And so we don't have to fear, we can be honest, we can be transparent, we can ask, we can plan, we can ponder, we can pray, but we look to Him to provide a good future for Trinity Church in Scarborough. So do fill out those questions, and please send them back, and let's be praying for this whole process as we do that.